This program is...
Back in the big segment tonight, Water's World, even though there was a...
Tiro acá. No, he's still moving. He's still moving. He's still moving.
A wild shootout that left 2 officers injured before the suspected terrorist was finally taken into custody in video that is just remarkable. We've got a jam-packed show for you.
The FBI is focused on Rahami's overseas travel and at least 3 trips to his native Afghanistan. A law enforcement source says the frequency of the trips was not suspicious at the time because of his family ties, and a number of trips did not suggest Rahami had outside help to finance the flights. He immigrated to the U.S. with his family, naturalized U.S. citizen. And late today, new information about prior contact between the FBI and Rahami after a domestic dispute. The victim alleged that Rahami also showed signs of possible radicalization. 2 sources confirmed to Fox the FBI followed up on the lead, but there was not enough to pursue it, and the original allegations were withdrawn. Here's how the FBI described the contact at today's news conference.
There's nothing to indicate that currently he was on our radar. We had a report of a domestic incident some time ago. That was the allegations were recanted, and I don't have any other information. We'll keep digging.
While police say they are not looking for other suspects or a broader cell, they are running down leads from the New York City surveillance video you see here where the pressure cooker bomb exploded, injuring 29.
We identified, we have a video of 2 persons who picked up the bag, took the device out of it, and then walked off with the bag. Now, we went back to see where they came from. They looked like there were 2 gentlemen just strolling up and down 7th Avenue at the time. We have no information that would link them to this at all. However, we still want to talk to them.
Based on the initial forensic review, 2 government sources said the bombs looked like the work of an amateur rather than someone who had formal hands-on training, because the damage and injuries today could have been so much worse, Megan.
Catherine, thank you. As out, and they involve his Pakistani wife and reports of a brother who openly voiced support for Islamic Jihad. For more on that, we go to Trace Gallagher live in our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
And Megan, despite Ahmad Rahami not being on the FBI's radar as someone who might have been radicalized, those who know Rahami saw things much differently. His friends say he used to be a normal guy who wore sweatpants, T-shirts, and spent time modifying and racing souped-up Honda Civics. But 27-year-old Flea Jones, who grew up with Ahmad Rahami, told Fox News that when Rahami came back from Afghanistan a couple of years ago, he'd grown a beard and was much more reserved. Listen to him.
His whole attire and appearance was different. He more was dressing into his religious, and from back then he dressed like a normal person, like regular.
Rahami's high school sweetheart and mother of his daughter told FoxNews.com he used to be the class clown but became a deadbeat dad who hated gays, the military, and railed against American culture. The mother of Rahami's child here in the U.S. also says he had a wife and child in Afghanistan. The wife was in Pakistan because in 2014, Rahami contacted his office for help in getting her to the U.S. Watch.
Did his wife ever get to the United States?
Yeah, I assume she did. At the time, she was pregnant, and in Pakistan, they told her that she could not come over until she had the baby, because she had to get a visa for the baby.
And the LA Times is now reporting the Pakistani wife left the U.S. a few days ago, but has now been intercepted by officials in the United Arab Emirates. Police will not confirm or deny whether members of Rahami's family were among the 5 people stopped last night near the Verrazano Bridge. The Verrazano connects Brooklyn to Staten Island. The vehicle was pulled over because it was seen leaving a location associated with the alleged bomber. All 5 have since been released, and police won't comment about the possibility of them facing other charges. We know Rahami has 2 brothers, both named Muhammad. One of them reportedly posted a jihadi message to Facebook in 2013, showing Fighter News he had no idea his son was doing this. Megan.
Trace, thank you. A lot to unpack there. Joining us, reporting from Trace and Catherine, we've got New York Congressman Peter King, who's a Republican and member of the Homeland Security Committee and Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman, good to see you tonight.
Thank you, Megan.
A lot in that report, but let me just start with you broadly, because you're actually somebody who gets briefed on this kind of thing. What are we missing here as this unfolds? You know, just today, this man apprehended. What's your take on it?
First of all, the police and the FBI did a great job. They pretty much had this narrowed down, I'd say, by late Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Again, terrific police work. I don't think it's over. I mean, listen, hopefully this is it. Hopefully he's the only one involved. But I do know that the police and the FBI, they are looking overseas to see if there's any overseas influence in this, any overseas involvement. Also, they are looking at if there's anybody else in this country involved. I mean, we don't know for certain that he's the only one. I mean, there were about 10 bombs were made altogether. He had to bring them back and forth in one day from New York to from Jersey to New York, the 2 stops in New York. Then he had the bombs back in Elizabeth. So this is it's not definite that he was operating by himself, that he was a lone wolf. So I can tell you that the investigation continues to see if there are any other people involved. Is there anyone still on the loose out there?
Especially given what we are told is the size of his apartment above their chicken restaurant, which looks tiny, with one window and one window air conditioner. And the question is whether this man by himself in that apartment made all the bombs by himself with nobody else noticing and managed to do this, you know, under the radar of anybody. But is there the possibility of a terror cell in New Jersey? Because authorities waved the news media off of that today.
Well, again, I have no independent information, but I think we have to assume there's always the possibility of that, especially when you see his activity. And the fact, as you say, that he was able to construct these bombs, have at least 10 bombs. He lived in a small confined area. He had to get all the materials. He had to get the gun. Who did he get that from? How did he get it? And it's hard to believe that no one had any idea what he was up to. So whether it's an active cell or just people who facilitate or people who look the other way or people who knew what he's doing but decided not to tell the police, all of that has to be fully investigated. Now, hopefully it'll turn out he's the only one. But you have to assume, for the purpose of an investigation, I believe there could be more out there.
You know, we talk about cracking down on immigration. It appears that the man who spotted him passed out in the vestibule in the bar was himself an immigrant. You know, it's a wide net. We got to be careful, do we not?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we are a nation of immigrants. I'm a grandson of immigrants. Again, I think when it comes to people coming from countries which are controlled by terrorists or have a strong terrorist influence, the level of vetting should be higher than it is, let's say, from somebody coming from Sweden or Denmark.
But this guy, as you know, just for the record, you know, this guy immigrated here when he was 7, right? With his parents, he was 7. He went 21 years without doing any terror acts, as far as we know.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying generally, as far as somebody coming from a terrorist country or a country with a strong terrorist influence, we have to be extremely careful on the vetting. Now, in this case, again, I think we have to look more into his family. What's the story with his brother? What's the story with his sister? What's the story with his mother and father?
Great to see you, Congressman. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Megan.